Finding life a bit complex? Confusing? Aware that your old strategies aren't working? Why not ask Pam and Marilyn? This is the Irreverent Therapists, and we're here to add some clarity, humor, and a bit of what might be considered blasphemy to your day.
Hello and welcome, everybody. This is Pam Hoteline, and with me, of course, is Marilyn Bradford. Hello, Marilyn.
Hello.
And we are the Irreverent Therapists. So thank you so much for joining us today on our show. Our topic today, have you alienated your body? Most of us are taught that our bodies are basically unconscious, almost mechanical structures that we sometimes can't depend on. We're taught to deal with our bodies by following what the experts have decided will bring health and happiness. What if none of that is true? What if your body is actually conscious and has lots to tell you? Are you ready to listen? So I think it's so appropriate that we're doing this topic today, Marilyn.
Yes.
Because both Marilyn and I have had all sorts of interesting things going on with our bodies and our beings in the last week or two.
And one of the things when you were talking about, the alienated part, I love the question that Gary asked, which is, if your body was a dog, would it have run away from you by this point, basically? Our bodies can't really do that. But often we treat them more meanly than we treat anyone or anything in our life. Yeah. Our friends, our family, our pets, anything.
Yeah.
So what's up with that?
Well, I'm so glad you brought that up because, where that makes me want to start us is I think, you and I look at our bodies as like not just us, but something that is in addition to us. And I think a lot of, I just think that whole idea of that I'm not just my body's not just me is a new idea for some people. So I thought maybe we should start with that of like, what do we consider bodies to be and how do we look at them that might be different than how other people look at things?
Well, I think that's a really good start. And certainly we're conditioned, impelled, entrained by our families, by religion, by all kinds of things. From the time we're tiny, my sense, if you could get into the head of an infant, it would be going, yay, I love it. Oh, it's so cool. And I can scream when I'm hungry and get fed. And sometimes I like to touch myself and that feels really good. And, they're not doing any of this verbally, but just watching them. They're so enthralled with their bodies, how they'll find a toe or a finger or something. And then gradually it's like we're conditioned out of that.
Yeah.
And I think that conditioning can take a lot of different forms. I know for me, and I've mentioned this before, but I grew up in an academic family on the East Coast. And basically the body, I think, is almost like like an old Star Trek thing, where if they could have, they would have just put the heads and the brains in globes so that they could do all the academic thinking.
Who needs a body anyway?
Who needs a body anyway? We just need to feed the brains. But the body, like my dad was a geologist professor, and it allowed him to walk all over California and Montana and Italy and map stuff. But truly, I didn't get much about the body except that it wasn't important, and the only important thing was your mind.
Yeah.
And I know that that's just one of many kinds of things that people get taught about their bodies.
That's the intellect is more important than the body. There's the whole spiritual, your body is sin, and, when you're really enlightened, you don't need your body.
That's a good one, right?
Yeah. So there's that whole line of point of view where it's all about dismissing the body or, putting aside the needs of the body because it's a higher spiritual calling to look at your spiritual self, not your body.
Yeah, as if they're not connected.
Yeah. Yes.
I always love that. Yes.
I'm just on the earth I'm in physical form, having a spiritual experience. No, what was that? What do people say? I'm having a spiritual experience in physical form,
Yes.
but soon I will drop the body and be enlightened.
Because the body
I mean,
sucks.
what a load of rat patoot is that?
Well,
It's just crazy.
It's interesting because what this conversation makes me realize, Marilyn, is I have like two opposing points of view that I grew up with. So on the one hand, I know when I was growing up, I felt like, if you ask me, who am I, what am I, or whatever, it was like, the bones and muscles, the body I'm walking around in, is me. So there was that no separation between the two. Then there's all these different, belief systems or points of view or whatever that says, there's the body and there's the intellect, or the body and the spirit, and they're separate and one's better than the other. And, what I'm finding is none of that is true.
Right.
Because what's true for me, there's another question that we ask in Access, which is, are you in your body, or is your body in you?
Oh, that's a great one.
And you're looking at which of those is lighter for what's true for you. Because what's true for you will make you feel light. What's not true for you will feel more heavy and contracted. So what's very true for me is that my body is in me. It's like I, the infinite being, am more than my body. My body is also more than the bones and muscles. Sitting on this chair, both my body and I are something greater than what most people allow themselves to be aware of. And when you're willing to look at it from that space, you start to get to where you can ask you and your body questions and have a very different kind of relationship with your body than I could when I was little. And I just thought of who I am is this thing walking around and the thoughts I have.
Right. And that's something that I do want to say, because my dad, it's interesting. He was a field geologist. His idea was essentially that the body was, how can I say this? It was a discrete thing. That is to say, it wasn't connected with anything in any way. And it was basically a bag of bones and skin, and he appreciated it. But as soon as he died, it would die, and that would be the end of the body and him.
Yeah.
That there was no sense that the body actually, and this I think is one of the things that makes Access so very different, that the body is actually far more than this discrete bag of bones and skin and lungs and muscles.
Yeah. Well, along with that discrete bag of bones and muscles and cells, I love that image.
Do you like my description?
Here's my bag that my body's in. But along with that goes that whole idea. I mean, I know when I was growing up, I, heard people talk about the body as a machine, right?
Yes.
If you put the right stuff in, you'll get the right stuff out. And, if there's something wrong, you fix it. And it's, all of that is the body as a unaware, unconscious thing that is very predictable in how it functions, rather than a totally different way of looking at it is the body as, conscious, aware, and able to actually contribute to you and your life in ways you might not have ever imagined. Where if it's a machine, then it has a use, it's useful, but it's not anything that can really contribute to you.
Well, and that's basically the American Medical Association view of the body.
Mm-hmm.
That it's a machine and it's going to be predictable and all bodies are going to act basically in the same way. Therefore, if they have these symptoms, you give them this pill, or if they have cancer, you do this to them. And there's two things that I think is nuts about that. One is that there's no real systemic approach to the body. There doesn't seem to be, if you have a problem with your spleen, you do this, and you have a problem with your liver, you do that. You have a problem in your head, you do that. But they don't have any sense in general, and I don't mean to generalize about all doctors, but I think we've all experienced this, that all of these parts are interconnected. And the medication you give one thing or the change in one thing is going to affect everything else in the body. And I remember I had, years ago, in the early 90s, I had that chronic fatigue immune system thing. And I went to about 5 doctors before I could find a doctor, and he was a DO, which if any of you are not from America, is a doctor of osteopath, and they are much more systemic. And he was the only one who could actually help me. And he used, although he, you got a really bad sinus infection, you could have an antibiotic, but he used a whole lot of alternative ways that actually treated the entire body as a system rather than treating it as this bag of bones, these discrete parts in the bag of bones. And
it's a bag of bones, and you just pick out the part you're going to fix and fix it without any regard for the rest.
Exactly. That works if you have a broken arm. It doesn't work so well if your blood and your organs and your hormones and everything else is off.
Yeah.
And you're just feeling like not doing much. So I just think just starting with that it's, I guess in some mechanical things, everything influences everything else. But really, I think getting the sense that anything you do to one part of your body is going to create something else. Even like if you go to a chiropractor or you go to a healing body practitioner, and I know we're about to go to a break, but, sometimes you'll have an ache in your foot and they press on something in your neck and the ache in the foot goes away. So, because it's also interconnected. So anyway, we can talk more
after we come back from this break.
Your conscious connection to a more mindful world. OMTimes Radio. IOM-FM.
Circle of Hearts Radio is a sanctuary on the airwaves. Join me, Grandmother Elia, in the circle on Sunday, 2 p.m. Eastern as I share information to both enlighten and nourish your soul.
Host your show on IOM-FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM-FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community. As difficult as it is to believe, there are places in Africa where human traffickers sell albino children and their body parts for use in magic rituals. Humanity Healing International is actively working in Uganda to change this paradigm. The Albino Rescue Project finds albino children who are at risk and places them in safe schools and environments where they can learn and grow free from fear. To learn more or to sponsor a child, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is.
Do you want to be a better communicator? Do you want to better connect with the important people in your life? Do you want to enrich your relationships? If so, join me, Matthew Cooper, on the Positive Control System Show every Wednesday evening at 11 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time on OMTimes Radio. I'll meet you there.
The best of the holistic, spiritual, and conscious world. OMTimes Radio. IOM-FM.
And welcome back, everybody, to the Irreverent Therapists. I'm Pam Hoteline, and with me is Marilyn Bradford, and we are talking about bodies, and specifically, have you alienated your body? And Marilyn, right before the break, we were talking about kind of the mechanical point of view about bodies, and you just fix the part that's broken. And I wanted to point out something from our description is, this idea that our body's just this thing and that sometimes we can't depend on it, right? So it's kind of like there's this expectation that things are going to break down about your body, and you can get sick, you can get injured, or whatever. And that is so different than when you're willing to kind of have a different awareness of your body and really talk with it, work with it, and have a relationship with it. It's like you can also know that your body has your back, so to speak.
Yeah.
So, go ahead.
Well, and I was what that brings up for me, Pam, is that you're saying we can't depend on our body. I think a lot of people look at their bodies as something. It's kind of like they only notice it when it's not doing what they want it to do.
You mean people have a lot of judgment of their bodies?
Well, it's more like it should be there to serve them. It's more like it should be a servant.
Yeah.
And when it, gets sick or breaks down, how could it do that? It's betraying me.
Yeah.
And I find that very few people actually have real gratitude for their body. I was taking a walk today, and I just have to say, I love living in Santa Fe. It is just so amazingly beautiful here. But anyway, I was taking a walk and just noticing, my body allows me to see these beautiful skies and mountains and to smell the flowers. There's lots of flowers out now, flowers and trees, and just, oh my gosh, and just the movement, the feeling of the movement. And I didn't used to be that way at all. I would walk because I wanted to lose weight or because it was good for me or something. But now I'm walking with this incredible gratitude for what my body can actually do for me. So it's just, and that's, gratitude changes everything. And I know we've touched on that, maybe not, we haven't done a show on it, but gratitude also allows you to expand your awareness of what that being or person, or in this case, the body, actually is. Because you can't have judgment with gratitude. They cannot coexist.
Yeah. Well, and judgment, people have so many judgments about their bodies. I include myself in that, although I've gotten rid of a lot of them. I know I still judge my body, but, most of us, it's like you wake up, you look in the mirror, and it's like a full day of a litany of judgments, whether it's you're too fat, you're too thin, you're too saggy, you're too pale, you're too dark, you're too this, you're too that. It's too tall, too short. There's very few people that you run into who aren't of their bodies, and judgment destroys. From a space of judgment of your body, there is not much possible for you and your body, except a downhill slope.
Except the downhill. Well, another thing about, judgments, a couple different kinds of judgments. One of them, of course, is like you were saying, you're too fat, you're too saggy, you got to wrinkle, you're too this, you're too that. But there's also the judgment we impose on our body of, oh, well, body, now you're 40, so now you're going to get this. And when you're 50, you're going to get this. And by the time you're 60, it's a moot point. You might as well give up. So there's all this judgment of how your body is going to progress through time.
Yeah.
And everything you have to do to prevent that, whether it's facelifts or I don't know what. But
diet and exercise.
Yeah.
But still, it's like, but it's a downhill slope. Like you're going to eat as well as you can, but it really
exactly
slow down the decline. It can't really change anything.
I know. That's the thing. There's this sense that it can't really be changed. And what I've discovered with the tools of access is none of that is true. It truly can be changed.
Yeah.
But as we pointed out before, your point of view creates your reality. And if you believe you have to look, I'm going to die at 54 because my father died at 54. I'm going to have heart trouble because my mother had heart trouble. Well, whatever it is, you solidify those points of view and you pretty much guarantee they're going to happen.
Yeah. So I think we could kind of sum up like what we've been talking about so far as if you're functioning
You mean I'm a little scattered, Pam?
No. don't. I don't mean that at all. But it just seems like everything we've been talking about so far is mostly the way most people, this reality looks at bodies, which is it's like a mechanical thing. When something's broken, you try to fix it. You're judging it, you're projecting at it, kind of the pathway it's going to be going down. And
Yes.
from that space, you actually can't change much of anything.
Oh, right.
Right? So I just wanted to highlight that because you were starting to talk about how you can change everything. And it's like, yes, you can. Not if you're, doing it from that space of all this crap we've been talking about. So when you're willing to actually be with your body in a very different way than that, that's where you can change all kinds of things. So, all right. Let's talk more about how do you change, like, Marilyn, what is possible? Like, I love how you talk about your body. You include your body and your awareness in so many things you do. Can you talk a little bit about what that is, what that's like, and how you do that?
Well, that's cool. Thank you, Pam. I didn't really know I did that. But I guess for me, the first thing I learned was muscle testing. And muscle testing is a way for you to get an idea of what your body would like to ingest, would like to do, all those kinds of things. So, and I'll just say it briefly. There are many different forms. A lot of people do the finger pull form. But I used to do, or I still do, the form. You stand up straight, you put your feet together, and say you have an apple. You want to know if your body wants to ingest the apple, or you can do it with supplements. And you hold it at your solar plexus, and if you go forward, that's a yes, and if you go backwards, it's a no. And if you go side to side, you need to ask a different question, like maybe later, or would you just like a little bit of it, and would you like some cheese? And I'm simplifying a bit, but it's a great tool. And I mean, I think people at Whole Foods used to think I was nuts because I'd be walking around the store, bending forwards, bending backwards, picking up stuff, But that's one tool that I've used. And it's amazing to me. I do these classes called Are You Eating to Live or Living to Eat? And the first thing that I have everybody do.
Wait, and I just want to say, phenomenal classes. I've taken them. They're awesome.
Oh, thank you. And this is going to sort of sound like a divergent topic, but we can come back to it. But I ask everybody to destroy and uncreate all of any way that they've bought that any expert's diet plan, fitness plan, health plan that they have imposed on themselves or are thinking of imposing on themselves is greater than what they know about their own body. So everything that is, can we destroy and uncreate it times a godzillion?
Yes.
Or drunk in bed, pipe, puddle, and shorts, boys and beyonds, because I want people to know that bodies are all really different. And they're the ones, if they're willing to get in touch with their bodies, who's going to know what's actually true for them. So it may be that everybody needs to eat a good breakfast, which is one of those great American things, but actually your body is like, no, you know what? I don't really desire to eat till about 11. That's pretty true for me. It's changed over times. But a lot of times, if we're willing to get in touch with our body, we can find out what it would like. And by doing what it would like, guess what? It treats us better.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it works better and it
works better, it's happier, it's yummier and all of that kind of stuff. Yeah. And I mean, I use it for things like, do you want to go for a walk? I've been on this big walking thing, but it's a great time to walk early in the morning here. And at times it's like, oh my gosh, I think my body's exhausted because I've been walking a lot. I'll say, buddy, do you want to go for a walk? It's like, yeah. So we can really include our body in everything that, how can I say this, everything that is relevant for it. I mean, it's funny because there's some ways that a lot of people do it unconsciously. They're like, oh, I really like a soft bed, or I like a hard bed, or, I like my hamburger rare, or whatever it is. They're actually, when they're saying those things, in touch, generally speaking, not always, but generally speaking, with what their bodies do actually like and desire. But there's a whole massive different level of that that you can really, really click into what your body wants. And it just makes life so much easier.
Well, and I just want to highlight, because, again, I think this is such a different way of relating to your body. and you and I are so used to it, and for a lot of people, this might just be a totally new concept. But, basically, what Marilyn's talking about is, say Marilyn and I were going to spend the afternoon together, right? Like, I would be asking Marilyn, are you hungry? Do you feel like eating? I'm kind of interested in getting something to eat. Would that work for you? And, hey, Marilyn might say, hey, do you want to go take a walk? It's really nice out. I think it'd be great to take a walk. Does that work for you? Like, when we're talking about our bodies, we interact with our bodies the same way we would interact with each other. That
Yes,
the body is a being that you can ask questions of, be considerate of, have gratitude for, be aware of, and allow yourself to know what works for your body, allow your body to know what works for you, and that it's an actual, it's like a relationship that you're having with your body, rather than looking at it as this, slightly animated because it has live cells, but otherwise thing that you're using to walk yourself around in. When you're willing to look at your body and really treat it with regard, it's a whole different world.
Well, and you said something very early on, like the first sentence or two, that our bodies are conscious. And that's what I think a lot of people don't get.
Yeah.
And that's sort of the opposite of the mechanical. But as a conscious being, the body has preferences, it has desires, it has incredible awarenesses. Maybe this is the time to tell the story of
it has to be a 40-second story.
Well, we'll wait till after the break, and then I'll tell that story. Yes. But I would like to say that once I started talking to my body, it was happy to tell me what it wanted and what it didn't want, and sometimes it was quite surprising to me.
Yes. Well,
so we'll come back to that.
Piece of like when people hear our topic of, have you alienated your body? It might be like, well, what do you mean alienated? But if you're willing to look at your body as another person that you could alienate, then it's like, yeah, you really can ignore your body and treat it badly and totally alienate it and have it not be there for you. So we'll talk more about all of this when we get back from our break.
Feed your soul with waves of consciousness on OMTimes Radio.
Do you have time to read that inspiring book or that blog post you've been meaning to get to? In your busy world, how do you improve yourself and keep your life going? I'm Lisa Kay, and my Between Heaven and Earth radio show can transform your life just by listening. Be uplifted with inspiring topics, positive stories, and ideas that really work. Between Heaven and Earth Radio is conscious living for your soul, every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time.
Being a radio host on IOM-FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network. OMTimes Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. OMTimes, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Hi, my name is Monica and I'm the host of Co-Creating Now. Give yourself an opportunity to connect with your all-knowing higher self and manifest joy, love, and peace together every Tuesday, 11 a.m. Eastern.
Your conscious lifestyle on steroids. OMTimes Radio. IOM-FM.
welcome back everybody to the Irreverent Therapists. I'm Pam Hoteling. With me is Marilyn Bradford, and we are talking about, have you alienated your body? So before we went on break, Marilyn, you had a story you were going to tell.
Yeah, and I think the tagline after that is, and what can you do to get him or her back?
Yes. How do you not alienate your body?
How do you not alienate your body? How do you treat it with kindness and caring? And of course, part of that is acknowledging that it is a conscious being. So when I first started doing this, I went to Nordstrom's, which is an upscale, nice department store, and I was just, like cruising, looking for stuff. And I had been talking to my body and, really making effort. And I tried on this, it was a jeans jacket, I remember, and it was really cute, and it was on sale. And I'm in the dressing room going, oh man, this is awesome. It was like $20-something, and it looked awesome. And I heard this voice. It wasn't exactly a voice in my head. I'm not that psychotic, but it basically said, you can buy it, but I won't wear it. And I was like, huh, that's bizarre. So I'm just standing there in the waiting room. I'm just like, okay, they're going to come and get me in white coats. But I'm like, really, body, are you telling me something? And it was like, yep, you can buy it, but I'm not going to wear it. And I don't know if you've ever had that experience where you actually buy something that you think you'd like, but it sits in the closet, and every time you pull it out, there's some kind of revulsion to it.
Yeah.
But I knew that was going to happen. So I'm like, okay, never mind on the jean jacket. So I'm like wondering, and I'm like, okay, can we just go home now? No. Okay. So I'm really asking my body questions, and it was sort of energetic, but is there something else you'd like at Nordstrom's? And I'm like, and she was like, yes. So we walked around and around and round and round, and I looked at stuff, and finally we stopped in front of these pink pajamas, and I'm like, you have got to be kidding me.
Oh, is pink not something you would usually have purchased?
No. And I bought these pajamas, and really they were worn to tatters. And I realized that my body is much more of a girly girl than I am. But it was an absolutely startling experience of really listening to my body.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's not like she speaks English exactly, but your body will let you know what it desires and what it doesn't desire if you're really willing to listen.
Well, and so I have a story too, but actually I want to first say, if you're listening to us and you would like to ask us questions, you can go to our Facebook page. You just go to Facebook and look up the Irreverent Therapists and, comment on the, on our posts about this particular show, or just comment in whatever way you know how to on Facebook. And we're just looking at Facebook now and then as we're talking, so that if you have questions, we can address those. But so my story is, I had when I first started going to Access classes, Marilyn, I had chronic musculoskeletal problems of one sort or another for 25 years. It morphed around. Sometimes it was DMJ, sometimes it was carpal tunnel. I had about 6 years of a massive back injury. All these
wow.
things. So I was very much someone who felt at the effect of my body, like that my body had let me down, and I couldn't depend on it. I couldn't count on physically being able to do strength things if I needed to, just all kinds of stuff that I had going on. And I went to a bars class, which is one of the first core class in Access, is called Access Bars. And I ended up staying for 5 more days of classes. And in Access, we're working with the points of view, the judgments, all these projections you have about your body. And the classes are addressing all areas of life, not just your body, but for me, the body stuff was a lot of what was coming up in those classes. And by the end of 6 days of classes, I had walked in there, someone who could barely walk, actually. I left at the end of the week having hiked up one of the tallest mountains in New Mexico. And I would create that change because I was willing to let go of all the points of view about my body, I realized that for me, any injury, I automatically went to, okay, this is going to take forever to get over because that's what my experience had been. And with that point of view in place, guess what I'm imposing on my body? Having whatever's going on take a long time to get over. And as I started changing all those points of view and being aware of my body as a conscious being, working with my body, asking it questions, I was able to totally change basically at that time I had carpal tunnel, TMJ, and tendonitis in my foot. Within 3 months, all of that was gone. And immediately I was able to ask my body questions. So when I did that big long hike, it's not that I was pain free, but I was willing to ask my body, hey body, how are you doing? Usually when this pain hits, I back off. What would you like? And my body was like, keep going, keep going, keep going. And so that was a huge life-changing week for me.
Well, that's incredible. And you pointed out something that I think a lot of people don't really get. They think that pain in the body is because they stepped on the rock the wrong way or because they overate. And I'm not saying that what we do with our body or what we ingest cannot create different things. But one of the things that has just been mind-blowing for me with Access is to learn that if I'm experiencing what I would have called a pain, I can ask my body, okay, body, what awareness are you giving me that I'm not willing to have?
Yeah.
And sometimes it's things like that truly are about the body. I'm doing too much. I'm not eating well. I need to slow down. But sometimes it's actually about other things that, I really don't want to look at this.
Yeah.
A relationship or this or that. So the body will try to use a feather to get your attention, to give you an awareness. But if you're not willing to have the feather, it will use the sledgehammer eventually.
Yeah, I got that last week.
Yeah.
Or I guess now maybe it's been 2 weeks, but I did the thing that people do where they slam their foot into a door in a way that hurts a lot, and I actually broke it. But instead of going to, oh my gosh, I just slammed my foot in the door and broke it, I asked questions, and actually, Marilyn, you helped me ask questions of, what is this? What can I do with it? Can it change? If so, how do I change it? And I became aware that I had really not been listening to my body, and my body was like, here's a little wake-up call, and I can give you a bigger wake-up call if you don't cut this out.
A little wake-up call.
Yeah, and as soon as I was willing to be aware of, my body is communicating with me here, I was able to do a lot of the Access energy work and, work on my toe and heal it very quickly. It's healing much more quickly than I think things like this normally do. But I'm, one, willing to get the message, and two, willing to work with my body on what it requires and what works for it for this to heal.
Yeah, and the thing is not to go to the wrongness of us about stuff. It's just like, oops, what 10 seconds of unconsciousness did I do to create that? And then what can I change?
Right. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I just did this. What am I going to do? I need to drive to Denver tomorrow and blah, 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 blah. I could have locked it into my body really significantly.
Yes, you could have forever.
Made it take a really long time to heal like I used to.
So we've been talking about communicating with our bodies and our bodies being conscious and aware. I wonder what else we can give to people. That's probably, it just sounds so crazy to a lot of people. I think about talking to my parents about what we're talking about. They would look at me like I was absolutely insane or some metaphysical thing. Or
how about, one thing is, so Marilyn used the Access clearing statement a little bit ago. It's the thing she said that was right and wrong, good and bad, pod and poc, all 9 shorts, boys and beyonds. And you can find out more about that at theclearingstatement.com. But it's something we use. We ask a question, bring up energy, and use that to clear whatever's going on. So what I like to do, Marilyn, is say, for everybody, so anything that doesn't allow you to know what you know about your body and what's possible with it, we destroy and uncreate it.
Yes.
Julian. Right and wrong,
Yes.
good and bad, pod, poc, all nine shorts, boys, and beyond. And anywhere you've been cutting off your awareness of the difference that you and your body can be when you're willing to be aware of, communicate with, and commune with your body. We destroy and uncreate it times a godzillion. Right and wrong,
Yes.
good and bad, pod, poc, all nine shorts, boys, and beyond. Because, yes, it does sound really, we are the Irreverent Therapists, and we do talk about things that are really crazy that you could get locked up for. So just look at, do you feel lighter and more expansive, you and your body, as you hear us talking? Because if so, there's something for you in here that's true for you.
Yes, and let's just go over that tool, because I love that tool. If you can ask a question about anything, and if it's lighter, if it makes you feel light, and that can look like light or just a lighter sense or sort of things expanding, then it's true for you. And if you get that sort of heavy, dense, contracted feeling, then it's not true for you. Now, there is a caveat to that, and that is if you've already decided something, then it won't work. For instance, if you've already decided that this is a hogwash and the body is just like a bag of bones and this mechanical thing, and you go, okay, so is the body conscious? Well, no, that's heavy, because you've already just come to conclusion, so you have your answer, so no real question can be asked. But I'm bringing this up because it's really crucial. It's crucial for your body. It's crucial for a lot of other things in your life. And I'm sort of on a tangent, but if you'll begin to actually look at your fixed points of view about everything, and maybe this has something to do with what we were doing this afternoon, Pam,
Yep.
And allow those to go away, then you can actually begin to have true awareness and ask real questions.
Yeah, and say you do know you have a lot of points of view in the way of asking questions, you can use the clearing statement, like whatever point of view you know you have, or just all the points of view I have about my body getting in the way of me asking questions. Destroy and uncreate it, times a godzillion,
Yep.
and use that clearing statement. And we will be back in just a few moments.
Bringing a more conscious lifestyle to your world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Matt Connerton here. Join Jen Coffey and I twice a week for Matt Connerton Unleashed, a political talk show that's a little different than what you're used to. No liberal or conservative agenda here, just an honest dialogue about truth and how things really work in the world of politics. Matt Connerton Unleashed, every Tuesday and Thursday night at 11 p.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio.
Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network. The number one reason girls drop out of school in sub-Saharan Africa is lack of access to feminine hygiene products. The Pads for Schoolgirls Project, an outreach of Humanity Healing International, is changing this paradigm by setting up sewing programs at schools, teaching girls a vocational skill, while producing the reusable pads that help keep them attending classes. The girls pay it forward by making and giving pad kits to other girls in need. To learn more, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is.
If you remember living fearlessly, joyfully, and in a world filled with adventure, happiness, pleasure, and unbridled living, then this show is for you. Join me, Dame Nicole Brandon, as I bring you the world's top experts in wealth, creativity, flow, sea-edging technology, space, wellness, health, love, lust, and passion, all merging together each week here at the Hub of Happiness. Mondays at 6 p.m. Pacific Time and 9 p.m. Eastern Time on Passionate Living, where you can ride on the magic carpet ride of living and learn how to lead a passionately wild, exciting, and outrageously amazing life.
The Real Conscious Connection. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
And welcome back, everybody. This is Pam Hodeling and Marilyn Bradford, the Irreverent Therapists, and we are talking about have you alienated your body? So, Marilyn, what else would we like to talk about bodies that we haven't gotten to yet?
Well, I think part of it is that bodies can be really fun. You know, even though I didn't grow up in a kind of Christian traditional system, I didn't have any idea, really, that bodies could be yummy and fun. All of that sort of was looked upon as, I don't know, bad and wrong, and sex was something that you saved until marriage, and then you didn't really enjoy it. You were supposed to, like lie back and think of England and stuff. Right. So I never really had the idea that bodies could be so incredibly enjoyable. And I'm not just talking about, copulation with another being. I'm talking about allowing yourself just to lie in the sun, and not because you want this tan to, quote, look good. So it's not about imposing stuff on your body. It's about really getting in touch with all of your senses, which I think is something that pretty much us were ever taught.
Yeah. Well, and I think like you started out at the beginning talking about we're taught out of it, because if you look at a baby and a young child, how they move, unless, sometimes things come in from outside and affect what's going on for a kid. But, typically if you're just watching kids, they are enjoying their body. They have the fun. It's like, I feel like jumping. I'm going to jump.
Yes. And skip
and all of this stuff. And then usually by the time they're about 7, at least in the U.S., because we're starting to take them to school and take them here and there, and you've got to sit down and you have to be quiet and you have to listen and not stop listening to your body and start listening to the outside world and what it's telling you about how you should be, is really how I'd put it. And, so both we cut off our awareness of our bodies and that capacity to listen to and perceive what's going on with our bodies and what our bodies are telling us, and shut that all down. And we stop that enjoyment of bodies.
Yeah. And other things, too. I mean, one of the things that I've worked with, and I know you have, too, is people who've been abused, sexually abused, physically abused, and even with other types of abuse, like emotional and psychological. A lot of the times, people will perceive or decide, is a better way to put it, people will decide that it's their bodies that have betrayed them. And the body then becomes this terrible and bad thing. If I didn't have my body, my uncle wouldn't have done that, or my dad, or my mom, or whatever it was. Yeah. Or if I didn't have this body that was terrible at softball, I wouldn't have been humiliated and bullied at school. So once again, instead of looking at what's right and great about our bodies and having gratitude, a lot of people tend to go with that the body's a bad thing, that it's betrayed them, that they would have been better off without it, that it keeps them limited, rather than seeing how cool it is, I guess.
Yes. Sorry, I was looking at Facebook to see if we had any questions.
I'm doing Facebook. I can do Facebook too. I'm multitasking here. I don't see any questions. But the thing I'd like to say about that is if you do have an abuse history, I would ask you to look really closely at what your attitude towards your body is. In fact, there's this very cool process in Access called the meaning process. So, and I think we could, why not?
Why not?
So you can just sit down and clear all your expectations, projections, rejections, separation, judgments, and conclusions about your body, right, wrong, good, bad, POC, puddle, line, shorts, boys, and beyonds. That's that whole business of getting your points of view out of the way. And then you ask yourself, what does my body mean to me? Or what does bodies mean to me? Everything that is destroyed and created times a godzillion. Right, wrong, good, bad, POC, puddle, line, shorts, boys, and beyonds. What do you mean to your body? Everything that is times a godzillion, destroy and uncreate it, times a right, wrong, good, bad, POC, but only choice for means. And then what does sex with body mean to you? And I'm not just talking about what that might seem like on the surface. I'm talking about sex in this reality is receiving. So it's really asking, what does receiving from your body mean to you? How much have you cut off what your body has to tell you or gift you because you don't want to receive from it? Everything that is right, wrong, good, bad, POC, part, only choice, spores, and beyonds. And then what do you, okay, my explanation got so great, I've lost track.
I'll
So
sum
what's
up and then I'll sum up.
Yeah. What does sex with you mean to your body? And then everything that brings up, right, wrong, good, bad, POC, part, only choice, spores, beyonds. It's an amazing how much wacky stuff this will bring up.
Yeah.
But it's a great way to begin to see what's underneath it all, what's underneath your logical mind. And then you're in a position where you can actually do something about it.
Yeah. And so just to sum up, it's basically there's 4 questions. You know, what does your body mean to you? What do you mean to your body? What does sex with your body, and that's meaning, what does sex with your body mean to you? What does sex with you mean to your body? And you'll see, I mean, just those questions, you can be like, wait, I can't quite make logical sense that. This isn't getting at logic. You know, if you could think your way out of whatever issues you have with your body, you would have done it a long time ago. So this is bypassing all that thinking and getting to the energy and the words of what you're using to limit you and your body. So you're asking each of those questions, and then whatever comes up as you ask that question, you know, what does my body mean to me? You use the clearing statement to clear it. And sometimes there'll be words, and it might be things that make no sense. Don't worry about that. It's like, okay, you know, that's what popped up for me when I asked that question, and now I'm going to clear it. Right and wrong, good and bad, POD, POC, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. Sometimes you ask one of those questions, and it's just an energy. You don't have words for it. And you do the same thing. You just clear it using the clearing statement. And, you know, we're talking about I'm so glad you brought that up, Marilyn, because we're talking about using the meaning process for your body, but you can use this about anything. You know, what does my relationship with my spouse mean to me? What does money mean to me? What do, you know, basically any area of your life that something's not working, this tool helps you get at the crazy, insane stuff you have deep down that's limiting you in that area.
Yeah, I found it just an incredibly effective tool, and I use it all the time. I really do. And what if, here's my question for everybody as we have about 5 minutes or not quite. What if your body was your best friend? What could that look like? What if you were really willing to have your body be the one who explored all of the sensuality and the sensuousness? What if you let go of making your mind or cognitive function greater than your body? I mean, I think one of the things that you can do if you don't even know how to get, to begin is start watching cats and dogs. Oh my gosh. I watched this cat this morning. I mean, they're so in touch with their bodies, and they have no judgment about them whatsoever. And if you're just watching them stretch or a dog running and playing, and they're not going, oh my gosh, I'm an ugly dog, I think my legs are too short. Every once in a while,
my spots are in the wrong place.
My spots are in the wrong place. I saw this dog the other day that literally has to be one of the most ridiculous looking dogs I've ever seen. I think it was a cross between like a dachshund and a collie or German shepherd or something. I mean, it was short. It had like a German shepherd face and these little tiny dachshund legs and this kind of totally sausage body, but it was so happy.
Yeah.
It had great pet parents, owners, whatever you want to call it, who obviously treated it well and loved him. And he was just like happy all over the place and running around. And I'm like, wow. What if there was no judgment of bodies? Because that dog certainly did not have a judgment. I think sometimes animals are smarter than we are. But anyway.
Well, and that's the thing. Your body doesn't have judgments of itself. You're the one who has judgments of your body.
Yes, exactly. You're the idiot.
So Marilyn, we've talked about a lot of different things. So, first there's using the clearing statement, using the meaning process to clear your points of view about your body. There's asking your body questions and just treating it as you would any other being, where you're asking questions, you're appreciating it, having gratitude, knowing that your body has its own desires and preferences. And if you start asking questions and being more aware of that, you can create a totally different thing with your body. So, let's see. There's so much more about bodies, and we only have like 2 minutes left. So I think we're going to have to do another show sometime. I was like, we haven't even gotten into what you're aware of through your body. So we'll maybe do bodies part 2 sometime.
But I think next week's show is really going to work well with us.
Yes, it is. I'm so glad you mentioned that. So next week we have the insanity of sex. Yes, the Irreverent Therapists are going to talk about sex, and we have special guest Alex Corio, who's she's the director of the Sexualness Institute of Santa Fe, and so I do feel like this dovetails very nicely on the conversation we've been having today about bodies. So you can join us next week for that. And Marilyn, do you have any? I know you have a call coming up. Is that anything special to do with bodies?
Yes, but I think we're out of time.
So go look at irreverenttherapist.com to find out how to contact us and find Marilyn's website where you can find out more about her telecall.
Yeah. RightRecoveryForYou.com. There we go.
Yep. So everybody, we will talk to you next week when we have Alex here talking about the insanity of sex.